You know the routine. One giant outlet drops a score, the internet grabs it like holy text, and suddenly, a whole game gets reduced to a number with a pulse. IGN drops this score. Travis Northup fires off a 6. And what happens? The internet grabs that number like it's the last life jacket on the Titanic. Suddenly, Crimson Desert isn't a game anymore, it's a legal ruling and a public execution. Everyone is treating this one guy's experience like it's a Supreme Court decision written in stone. We don't want reviews anymore. We want a digital pat on the head that tells us our hype was justified. If a score 6 out of 10 is enough to ruin your weekend, you don't need a new GPU. You need a therapist and a sturdy hobby that doesn't involve a motherboard. But wait, look at the actual map. While everyone is screaming about the IGN fire, the rest of the world is living in a completely different zip code. Metacritic is sitting at a 78 and OpenCritic is tagging it strong. It's not a massacre, it's a mild disagreement. But, in the land of short attention spans, one loud grade steals all the oxygen. It's like a waiter dropping a tray of glasses. Nobody cares about the 30 people eating their steak in peace. Everyone is staring at the guy with the broken porcelain. Numbers do weird things to our brains. A review becomes a headline, the headline becomes a shortcut, and the shortcut becomes a personality trait for people who haven't even touched the controller. It's like wearing clown shoes as formal wear and being shocked when people think you're a joke. We are out here wearing Team 6 or Team 9 jerseys like it's a blood feud. One critic having one experience is not a consensus, it's a data point. Treating a single review score as the final boss of truth is like asking a landlord for relationship advice. You're looking for stability in all the wrong places. Now, let's be real, Pearl Abyss didn't exactly hand us a polished diamond. They handed us a bag of gems mixed with actual gravel. We're talking about a studio stepping on its own rake so hard. It's a miracle they can still stand up. AI generated 2D props in the final release. That's not a quirk. That's a studio getting caught with their hand in the cookie jar and claiming they were just measuring the sugar. They apologize, they're auditing, and they're replacing assets, but man, talk about a self-inflicted wound. It's like showing up to a high-stakes poker game, wearing a shirt that says, "I am bluffing." You can't be mad at a critic for noticing the house is on fire when the developer left the stove on. Including AI props in a AAA release is like putting an alligator in the cereal aisle. Sure, it's content, but someone is definitely getting bitten. And don't even get me started on the Intel Arc situation. The early messaging was basically, oh, you have an Arc GPU. Here's a refund link, buy. That's not customer support. That's a breakup text sent via billboard. Nothing inspires confidence like a developer basically saying, our game and your hardware are incompatible, in a way that implies we never want to see you again. They walked it back, sure, and they apologized, but the damage was done. It turned the launch into a circus, where the clowns were the ones writing the technical manuals. When your minimum specs feel like a suggestion, rather than a requirement, you're basically flicking your customers in the forehead and asking why they're annoyed. Tech support shouldn't feel like an eviction notice. Offering a refund as your primary troubleshooting step is the software equivalent of a doctor seeing a broken arm and recommending a funeral director. Then we have the mounts. Oh, the mounts. The trailers promised us a fantasy zoo. We saw bears and we saw wolves. Everyone's thinking, finally, I can live out my Lizard King fantasies. Then the game drops, and you realize your main summon is basically a horse. The cool stuff, it's on a leash. The dragon, the literal poster child for why this game is epic, is limited to 15 minutes, with a 50-minute cooldown. In a single-player game. Who are they balancing this for? The ghost of fairness. It feels like somebody lost a dare in a design meeting. Hey, let's give them a Ferrari, but they can only drive it to the mailbox once an hour. Marketing by technicality is just lying with extra steps. A dragon with a 50-minute cooldown isn't a mount. It's a high-maintenance relative who only visits when they need money. Here is where the conversation gets actually interesting. Critics come in with checklist brain. They're looking at story coherence, interface friction, and inventory management. They're inspecting the game like it's a used dishwasher, and that's fine, that's their job. But gamers review with one question. Am I still glued to this thing at midnight when I should be asleep? That question murders a lot of tidy criticism. Crimson Desert lives in that weird, sweaty gap between, this is a technical mess, and I can't stop playing it. It's a roller coaster that might have a few loose bolts, but the drop is so good you don't care. Analyzing a sandbox game with a checklist is like trying to measure the quality of a party by counting the number of napkins. You're technically correct, but you're missing the point of why people are there. What's really killing us is the jersey culture. As soon as a controversial score drops, everyone picks a side. You're either a hater or a shill. There is no middle ground. There is no "I like the combat, but the UI makes me want to eat my keyboard." No, you have to be all in or all out. It's sports radio with better shaders. We're shouting at each other across a digital fence about a number that won't matter in 3 weeks. We've turned criticism into a costume for certainty. We want to feel like we're part of a winning team, even if the team is just a bunch of people who also happen to like a specific arrangement of pixels. Disagreement isn't a personality flaw, it's just a Tuesday. Turning a game review into a tribal war is like getting into a fistfight over which brand of bottled water tastes more like nothing. Everyone loses and you're still thirsty. We also have to talk about launch timing. March 2026. That's when the clock started. But a launch review is a snapshot of a moment in time, and some snapshots age like milk in a hot car. As patches roll out and players learn the systems, the sentiment shifts. The 6 stays there forever, frozen in time, while the game actually evolves. It's not that the reviewer was wrong, it's that the game was a moving target. But the internet doesn't do nuance. It doesn't do, "It was rough then, but it's great now." It just wants to scream about the initial impact. A review score is a timestamp, not a prophecy. Relying on a day 1 score 6 months later is like checking the weather from last July to see if you need an umbrella today. The real toxin here is the smugness. That little air of, "Oh, you like this. Your standards must be garbage." That's what flips a normal debate into a toxic wasteland. People can smell condescension faster than they can smell frame drops. When a critic sounds like they're talking down to the audience for enjoying an ambitious but uneven game, they lose the room. Players know when a game has a beating heart, even if it has rough hands. You can measure friction, but you can't always measure pull. A spreadsheet doesn't know what fun feels like when you're 3 hours deep into a session. Being technically right doesn't make you interesting. Telling someone they shouldn't enjoy a messy game is like telling someone their dog is ugly. You might be right, but nobody is going to thank you for saying it. The biggest mistake we make is reviewing a living, breathing sandbox like it's a broken vending machine. If a vending machine doesn't give you your chips, it's a failure. Period. End of story. But a game like Crimson Desert isn't a vending machine. It's more like an experimental kitchen. Sometimes the salt is too heavy, and sometimes the presentation is a mess, but the flavor is something you've never tasted before. If you judge it only by the rules of cooking, you miss the magic. IGN 6 felt like they were judging the kitchen's cleanliness, while ignoring the fact that the food was making people scream with joy. Precision is the enemy of passion in a sandbox. Reviewing a sandbox game for coherence is like judging an airport kiosk for its ambience. You're looking for high art in a place designed for chaos. Look, Travis Northup didn't kill Crimson Desert. Pearl Abyss's weird choices didn't kill it either. What's killing the conversation is us, and our inability to sit with discomfort. It is our need to have a correct opinion delivered to us in a neat little package with a bow on it. Stop treating one number like scripture. Stop looking for thumbnails with red circles to tell you how to feel. Start looking for consistency. Are people actually playing it? Are they giving real reasons for their praise? Or are they just defending a logo like unpaid bodyguards? Your own judgment is the only score that actually affects your bank account. Waiting for a reviewer to tell you if you're allowed to have fun is like waiting for an airport kiosk to tell you if you're allowed to be happy. It's a long wait for a result that doesn't matter. At the end of the day, Crimson Desert is exactly the kind of game that should cause a fight. Messy games are honest. Polished, boring games are forgettable. I'd rather have a game that makes half the internet furious and the other half addicted than a game that everyone forgets 5 minutes after the credits roll. The real scam isn't a low review score or a high one. The real scam is how fast we try to replace our own eyes with a headline. We're so busy picking sides that we forget to actually play the thing. We're like kids fighting over the color of the box while the toy is sitting right there, ready to go. If you're spending more time defending a game than playing it, you've already lost. This whole performance is just grown adults fighting over a number while the game sits in the corner wondering why we're all so loud. Go play the game. Or don't. Just stop acting like a 6 is a hex on your bloodline. It's just a number, and you're just a person with a controller. Try to remember which one is supposed to be in charge.